I was a member of the 1997 World Champion Florida Marlins, and our 94 team was better. I really felt that it's the best team that I've ever been on.
We had guys that could hit to win a game. If we were in a pitching duel, then we'd have a bullpen that would come in and shut the other team down late in games.
It was a ball game, I believe, in Pittsburgh. We flew back into Montreal. Strike date hit. They said, we're going on strike.
You just sat there and was in the fog, thinking to yourself, this can't happen. This can't be the end of what we've just started.
This is truly one of the greatest teams in Major League history, and they were only going to get better. That's the sad part of this. We don't know how good they would have become.
In 1992, I took over the club. We were in last place, and we wound up being second place. Then in 93, we got better, and the club started to get together. Those guys, they like each other. A lot of them have played minor league baseball together. Some of them have played for me in the minor leagues. And by 94, we knew that we had a team that was going to compete. Very early, we knew that.
Well, there was a definite buzz because in 93, they just ran out of time. The only thing that stopped the Expos from overtaking Philadelphia and maybe a matchup with the Blue Jays in the World Series was the schedule. They just ran out of time. They were in the process of catching the Phillies. So it was going to be very interesting and exciting to see if they could pick up in 94 where they left off in 93.
I remember thinking at that point, what if this is the year? What if this is the year where it does all come together, where everybody's as good as we think they can be? You wanted to believe that 94 was going to be the year.
Like all these guys have a lot of young talent, they're up-and-comers, it could be something interesting. But of course they had to go up against the Braves, and the Braves were a terrific team, great pitching staff. They'd already won the division 3 years in a row, so there was going to be competition, but the thought was, oh, this will be a tight race. This Expos team is very young and talented, and they've got a shot at it.
For preceding seasons, the Expos have been kicked around a little bit. But this was a good ball club. We could see that in the spring. I think one of the things that I noticed in spring training was that the chemistry of the club was so much better than it had been. We were black and white. You know, we didn't care where you're from, what you looked like. We didn't care if you're a pitcher, an outfielder, or a catcher. We all hung out, and I think that camaraderie inside the clubhouse was simple.
When you play baseball, usually like the position player hang out with the position player, you know. But on our team, you know, everybody, we were just players. We weren't just position player and pitchers. We were like a family, you know. We saw my dad like a father figure.
I had to start in spring training. We didn't have a first baseman. We have a young guy by the name of Cliff Floyd. So one day I asked Cliff Floyd if he ever played first base, and he told me he did in high school.
I was playing the outfield, and they were basically just saying, you're going to have to move over to first and make a transition there. As a youngster, I thought, if I don't jump on board, you're going to miss the boat. And that's how I lived every single day. I think Rondell White lived like that, Kurt Reeder, and all the young cats that we had on that team. We just knew that if we just, you know, bought into the philosophy that was taught by Felipe and on down through the coaches, we'd be fine.
Right in spring training, you know, coming out the gate, we decided amongst ourselves that that we were going to go out and play good, hard, fundamental baseball. And that's what Felipe taught.
The group we had was talented. We were young. With our club and the nucleus that we had, we knew it was just a matter of time that we'd put it all together.
It was a bunch of young guys with great skills and abilities, you know, led by Felipe, whose career was in development, and the coaches under him, whose careers were in development as well. So it was a perfect storm of abilities of these players.
To beat the Braves, you had to outpitch the Braves. That's what it came down to. And as good as the Expos were, I know that Dan Duquette thought, I need that guy. I need that guy that can come in, that can dominate.
We were looking for a low service time pitcher that had great stuff that could develop into a top pitcher. And we had identified Pedro Martinez.
Dan Duquette had come to see me and said, look, with Pedro Martinez, bringing him in, we were going to win. And he was that convinced of it.
Felipe knew Pedro from the Dominican, and Felipe was very supportive of the deal.
That was some of the advantage that I have in some other people. because I saw Pedro Martinez and many other young guys in our organization play minor league ball. I also play in the winter league. Pedro Martinez used to be with the Dodgers, but I managed against him in winter ball.
The Pedro Martinez trade was widely criticized in Montreal, widely criticized, because Delino DeShields, who was traded for him, was a very good player. He's about 24 years old.
The only thing we knew about Pedro Martinez is that he was a skinny Dominican pitcher, and the Dodgers didn't believe that he was strong enough to be a starting pitcher. So the initial instinct was, as I did, slam the trade heavily.
The fans didn't like the deal because they didn't know Pedro. So my position was basically, hey, look, I know we traded a good player, but, you know, give this kid a chance. After you see his talent, I think you're going to feel different about the deal.
I didn't know Montreal was so cold during the winter. So I showed up in a little short sleeve shirt, like normal, you know, like summer type of clothes, which is what we wear in Santo Domingo. But then at the time of the trade, when I was to go to the press conference, thank God they had a great jacket for me, an Expos jacket.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of doing anything in baseball. I'll go and I'll face anyone. I'll face any hitter. I'll face anybody in baseball.
In Los Angeles, there was word around that ball club that Pedro wasn't big enough or strong enough to be a starting pitcher. And I think Felipe and Pedro took that on as a big-time challenge, and they worked very closely together.
But these guys connected in such a way. First day he meets him, he says, "You're in my rotation. No matter what, I have complete faith in you." Pedro would be warming up in the bullpen. It would be Felipe that was supervising often. That's not a normal thing. It would normally be the pitching coach.
When Pedro first started pitching as a starter, he couldn't control his fastball.
Nobody wanted to stand in against an erratic guy who threw that hard. And so he had this reputation as a headhunter.
They talked things over and they said, let's get a mannequin and put it in the bullpen, and we'll have Pedro work on his control.
The very first pitch I threw really well, but it was just like a bullpen kind of throw. When he told me, that's what I want you to do, but at full gas. Then I airmail again and I hit the dummy in the head, and instead of that dummy being looking at me, the head was leaning that way and the bat was here. Felipe came over and took the dummy away. And he said, "Pedro, what are you trying to do?" I said, "I'm trying to pitch inside, Felipe. Show me how you hold the ball." I said, "I hold 2 seams." Felipe goes, "I want you to hold it 4 seams and throw it right where you want to throw it." And that clicked right away. All I had to do was switch the grip on the ball. After that, I think that clicked.
When you catch the guy for the first time, he's got electric stuff, and you knew right from the beginning that he was going to be a fabulous pitcher.
His stuff was electric. It was obvious how special he was, and all he needed was pitches and innings of experience as a starting pitcher. And then, wow.
Well, I knew he could be a good starting pitcher. The Los Angeles Dodgers didn't believe that, and look, this guy is going to be a Hall of Fame.
And here we go. He strikes out the side.
If it wasn't for God and Felipe, I wouldn't be here. Felipe was the father. Felipe was the advisor. Felipe was everything I needed someone to be. Felipe is the main reason I became what I became in baseball.
Getting Pedro gave us that extra pitching strength that that allowed us to go from where we were contenders to possible champions.
Moises Alou, left field.
Marquise Grissom, center field.
Larry Walker, right field.
You talk about Walker and Grissom and Alou, power, speed, defense, all young. You know, they were all in their prime at that point. They really were just tremendous in every way.
That's probably the best outfield trio in the game at that time. So, I mean, anytime a ball is up in the air, I know they got a chance to try to catch it.
It was different. It was different in a way that we didn't even talk about, how good we were. All I knew is that we had 3 guys in the outfield that could play center field.
They're going to wave him. He's going to be out by a
I knew our pitchers, they felt comfortable, you know, because we play very good defense, and then we brought to the table also that offensively we can do our job. So it was a good feeling to be part of that team.
A lot of ground got covered. We all had decent arms, decent speed, and you know, it's too bad that outfield didn't stay together for, you know, a decade or so.
Here's a play for Floyd. What a wonderful play by the rookie first baseman.
The 25 guys in our locker room, we held it down. We didn't know nothing about swag, but I think we had the cockiest locker room out there. We knew that at 6:45, it was time to start getting our engines revved up. We were so good. You know, when we stepped on the field, it changed everything.
Whenever we went on the road, you know, we stretched while the other team was taking batting practice, and you can sense that they were afraid of us. It was a great feeling, you know. Just every time we go there, we expected to win.
That's the kind of confidence we had, the kind of cockiness that our team had. It was a flair, you know, the young players and not intimidated by anybody, and it didn't matter who came around. We were ready to take him.
Before that word swagger became commonplace in pro sports, that team had it. They knew how good they were. They took to the field every night knowing not if they were going to win, but how are they going to win this one pitch.
In some ways, I think we thought we were invincible. I think the mojo on the team was that we were young, but we were kind of cavalier in a lot of ways.
We didn't know any better, you know, and we just had fun going out there playing the game of baseball the right way and kicking your tail. And we were going to come back and do it the next day.
Once you start winning, it's very contagious, you know, and you just have a different attitude when you come to the ballpark, and especially when you take the field. Everybody was expecting the Braves to run away with the division again, and you know, just wasn't that case.
We were working hard. The kids were learning a lot. We had a couple of veteran players that were helping us, but we had confidence. We knew we were underdog for other people, but not for us.
And the 2-2. Fly ball deep right field. David Justice looks up. This ball's gone. 3-run homer for Cliff Floyd.
The biggest moment of that season for me, being able to look at the standings and go, wow, we're actually ahead of the Braves. The Braves were, for the Expos, the ultimate measuring stick.
Going into the break, people started to take notice, and then you noticed that we had 5 or 6 guys on the All-Star team.
There was like a full spread in USA Today about this team. You know, I still have it up on my wall. And they were like saying, hey, take notice of these kids going off up north, you know. And so for us playing, it kind of put us on the map.
Moises Alou swinging a drive into the gap in left center field. Being waved home is Gwynn. They got a play to Rodriguez. Safe. And the 6-game drought is over.
That was really the pinnacle of the season for us, because shortly after the All-Star game, the mood around the league started to sour a bit. The strike date was set. It really didn't look very good. It was a ball game, I believe, in Pittsburgh. We flew back into Montreal. Strike date hit. They said, we're going on strike.
I had to inform the team, so I asked the coaches to leave and inform the team to pack their things and go.
You clear out your locker. You prepare for the worst. I mean, I end up working at UPS. End up working to make a living. I mean, you had no idea where this thing was going.
And we didn't want to strike. We didn't want this to happen, but we have no other choice but to go out and take care of ourselves in the game of baseball.
We really felt that the 12th was the best date for us, you know, to set that timeline to try to get a deal done. We still think that the 12th gives us the best opportunity to get something accomplished and continue to play baseball.
I kind of knew that there was a chance that we wouldn't see a lot of these guys again, but you kind of filed that away. You didn't want to believe it. You know, there was a suspension of disbelief. Well, they may be talking about not coming back, but baseball wouldn't allow this to happen.
Nobody thought about canceling the season. There had been no World Series canceled, you know, going back a century. So why would that happen? The expectation, even among the slight pessimist, I guess, is it's going to be tough, but we'll probably find a way.
It was my belief that this had to be of short duration. Okay, it'll happen in a couple of weeks, and by the beginning of September, we'll all be back. It never once crossed my mind that we wouldn't play the season out and that the postseason would be canceled. Never thought of that for a moment as a possibility.
Expos president Claude Brochu put on a brave face as he walked into a packed room to give his point of view on the cancellation of the 1994 season.
The type of team that's on the field is pleasing. People like it. And what we're getting is a brand new generation of fan here in Montreal, which is generally young and comes out here to have a good time. I don't think we're going to lose these fans.
It's tough, you know, because you come from we're just kids playing a game. Didn't really understand a whole lot of what was going on, and I was trying my best to to do that, and you know, rough time.
I was disappointed for our team. I was disappointed for the city of Montreal and all the Canadian fans, because we were right on the brink of doing something very special.
You kind of understand why the situation with the strike happened, but it's just unfortunate for the fans that it happened, because, you know, at that time we were playing good baseball.
You just sat there and was in the fog, thinking to yourself, this can't happen. This can't be the end of what we've just started.
It is the case that the players ultimately made the final decision, but they were forced into it. It was not a fair situation for them to have to subsidize the owners of the smaller teams. I mean, the reason that the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland A's and all these teams can compete today, a lot of it has to do with what happened in that '94 season.
Montreal was hurt by it tremendously. Our fans were hurt by it. But, you know, maybe this was the price that baseball had to pay one last time with their labor relations, and I think labor relations have been excellent since. I guess it was just that time, and we unfortunately were caught right in the middle of it, you know.
I don't know if it's a curse that was cast upon the Expos, but that's the only season in all of Major League history where the World Series, the playoffs were canceled. And this happened when the Expos had their best team ever.
The day began with the news that the Montreal Expos were moving to Washington. 31,000 fans showed up at the Olympic Stadium. 3/4 of them stayed behind when the game was done to give their team a real emotional outpouring. And when we saw Claude Raymond get on the mound and throw the very last pitch at Olympic Stadium, we knew that baseball was over in Montreal.
'94 remains an unreconcilable year, which is why I think that there's always this vibe when we get together. It's almost like we were champions. You know, we already were champions. We're just lacking the ring.
I think about it a lot. What could have been the '94 season, maybe a World Series appearance, maybe winning a World Series. That's just one of the things we will never know.
We could have got swept in the first round of the playoffs. We could have swept everybody and won the World Series, you know. I can't make predictions, but I think the obvious one which stands out is we had one of these on our finger, and from the have an Expo logo on it instead.
Of course, we always think, almost every day, I think, we knew we were going to playoff with a super team. So our chances were very high of making it to the World Series.
I played 12 years in the big leagues. I did not make one playoff appearance my whole career. So for me, I always have the feeling like, you know, what if we would have been able to finish that season out, maybe a chance to at least play in the playoffs, possibly a World Series bid.
At my age, you know, in this city, you know, across the border, you know, in Canada, I mean, all the things that I never even imagined happened in my life happened, other than the fact that I got a chance to win the World Series here.
You know, I've been around a long time, 17 years in baseball, and I played for 6 different teams, and never felt the energy 20 years later. Some of those fans probably were not around when, you know, when we were playing. They just heard about the '94 team. And all the older fans that do know about us, to still have that love and compassion for us and that relationship. And that, for me, that's what it's all about.
I was a member of the 1997 World Champions, Florida Marlins, and our '94 team was better. And we were like, I mean, we were on a roll. I mean, we were going to win that division easy, and then, I mean, I think we were going to win it all. I really felt that it's the best team that I've ever been on.
That was the first time I ever felt like I was going to be a champion in '94. And the first time I got it with Boston, believe it or not, 04. '94 to 04. It made me think of Montreal. It made me think of Montreal, and I wanted to share that moment with the people in Montreal that never got that chance.
I would like to share this with the people in Montreal that are not going to have a team anymore. But my heart and my ring is with them too.
The Mets and the Blue Jays played an exhibition series in Montreal. The games were sold out. It was significant because it showed Major League Baseball, showed the commissioner's office that there were baseball fans who still care about baseball. And most importantly, people who still want to get excited about baseball. It's a small gain, but I think in some ways it might be a significant gain.
That showed Major League Baseball that the interest from the fans is here. And the biggest message I think it gave is to the possible investors. The fans are there. Where are you?
I now have no doubt in my mind that Major League Baseball will return. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I have no doubt in my mind. I hope I live to see it, but there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see Major League Baseball just a few blocks from here.
If the Expos existed today, I think they'd be fine because there's so much money in the sport, even for the smaller market team. 3 years ago, I would have said there's no chance that there's ever going to be baseball again in Montreal, but I think it is possible.
If we ever get a club back, if there's baseball coming back, it will be because of the 1994 team, because the fans remember the 1994 team. That's very important.
Thank you.